You see, Icelanders in general are no strangers to climate changes. We have gone through periods of climate changes and we have been incredibly bad at adapting, really. This is the reason why the population of Iceland is so small. You know, we have gone through incredible hardships and, you know, the small ice age that started here in the 13th century and lasted for 600 years. This greatly affected the nation. But now we are seeing something that has never been observed, and our scientists tell us that it's absolutely unique, not just in the history of Icelanders, but in the history of Iceland. This incredible pace that the climate changes are occurring at. A lot of people think, oh, Icelanders, they could do a bit of warmer weather, you know, but it would have disastrous effect on Iceland if this process continues and comes on full force. It's going to mean the disruption of the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream is what keeps Iceland from turning into a Baffin island. And without it, we would become uninhabitable. The only thing that scientists really know that could actually turn off the Gulf Stream is a sudden influx of fresh water into the North Atlantic Ocean. And that is precisely what is happening. The melting down of Icelandic glaciers, the Greenlandic glaciers primarily, is already causing fluctuations in the conveyor belt effect of the Gulf Stream. And this means Iceland, although the immediate effect would be warming, it would be cooling. And that is a huge concern. It is incredible. And to see the effect right in front of your eyes, you can't understand how anybody can deny what's happening. Of course, this has happened before, but the pace of it is unprecedented. It has never happened like this before. Then, of course, we are seeing both the flora and fauna here in Iceland changing incredibly fast. All of a sudden, birds are being seen here that never were seen here before, insects that never been here before, and fish that needs cold water coming up from the equator up here into the northern seas. And that is creating a huge imbalance in the ecosystem. If big glaciers melt down, it may actually make it easier for magma chambers to surge up and cause eruptions. We have not had a direct experience with that here in Iceland, but the frequency of eruptions has been consistent every sort of 4 years. And when the ones that are happen underneath the glacier, this has affected the world the most. You see, ice and magma doesn't go well together. You know, the magma or the lava has to melt its way through the glacier, and as it does, there's a huge pressure. The glacier is incredibly tough. Somebody told me if you took all the nuclear arsenal that you have in the world, and you placed it under our biggest glacier, the biggest glacier in Iceland and Europe, Vatnajökull, you detonated them all at the same time, they would manage to melt down like 1% of the glacier. 1%. And here we have an eruption that is taking weeks to melt down through this incredibly tough ice. Whether there is actually a connection between the loss of glacier mass and the eruptions here in Iceland, we haven't established. They are trying to establish it. They find it is likely. And underneath Vatnajökull, our biggest glacier, we have some of the biggest badass craters in the world, you know. So that is a real worry too. Iceland has been incredibly lucky of late because we have had the fortune of partaking in the miracle created by Nikola Tesla and Thomas Alva Edison that catapulted this world into the age of electricity. And all of a sudden, this resourceless country found out that the very elements that had been so tough on us throughout the centuries were actually our greatest resources. The ice and the fire. This is what makes Iceland rich.